What's up there, dudes? Hey, I want to talk for a moment about complex post-traumatic stress disorder versus post-traumatic stress disorder. Not as a professional, but as someone who has um, developed CPTSD early on in life, and not until recent years, I'm learning what this is. So, post-traumatic stress disorder essentially can be a singular event that leaves you traumatized, as opposed to CPTSD, which is a series of high stress, high anxiety situations that, especially early on in life, in my case, in many addicts' cases, this also I want to talk about this not as a destination, but as a roadmap to see what might be going on with you and realize there is hope. Um, so many people get a diagnosis and they're like, that's just me. Well, it's the way the cookie crumbles. There's no hope for me. I'm stuck here. Let me take these pills. Um, CPTSD, especially in a child when you're in early development stages, right? If you are consistently thrown into abusive, high stress, anxiety ridden situations, your nervous system will adapt to that, maladapt to that, right? Um, and if nobody in your life makes you aware of this, or just not only that, but only continues to prolong and um, worsen the CPTSD, well, you're likely going to grow up to not know what the hell is going on, to be suppressing emotions, to be very confused about relationship dynamics, especially if, my parents kind of just took off when I was young, and I have a lot of abandonment issues. And for the longest time, I was always seeking acceptance in other people, because when the root source of how you perceive yourself, your family home life, is that broken, and not only that, but again, abused physically, sexually, verbally, always put in the middle of the ongoing issues at home, and being used as the scapegoat and the black sheep, essentially, will leave you very confused and psychologically messed up, and you will likely be trying to cope with these things without realizing that any of this is happening to you, and you will turn to drugs or anything self-destructive to try and find some comfort, right? Unhealthy relationships. um, I'm willing to bet there's a lot of addicts that struggle with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, right? And I have a hard time talking about this because I don't want to seem like I'm making excuses, but this is all coming to me. I'm 35 now. And in the last few years, I've educated myself on these things because no one else is going to do it for you. And even the therapists I was seeing for many years, the signs couldn't be more apparent that that is what's going on in my case, especially. And, he was fine with throwing, various disorders at me. Um, but this one I find funny because there's so many things that, if, say they slap a bipolar diagnosis on you or ADHD diagnosis, and they're like, oh, you got to take these pills. Well, a lot of the symptoms that will get you diagnosed with these things are also, there's correlation to the way CPTSD will manifest in your adult life. And it pisses me off that they're constantly just trying to medicate everybody and not help them actually uh, acknowledge and learn about what's causing these things. And it makes me wonder, like, how much do they even know to be able to help us with these things? How much do the professionals know? Are they holding out on us, or did they just not understand it? And then so many people will be like, oh, well, you're not a professional, so how are you gonna it's not like I'm diagnosing myself. Once again, I'm using these as a roadmap, as a framework to be like, okay, this seems to explain very well what has happened in my life, uh, over the course of my entire life, and the way that, again, it has manifested in my adult life, and the problems and issues I have. And, I struggle with a lot of simple things because I didn't learn through example from the people the familial connections, how most people learn what's right and what's wrong, how to be responsible, how to take care of yourself, right? So for all the things that do come naturally to me, bet your ass there's, 100 other things that seem just kind of uh second nature, logical to most people that totally escape me. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to talk about. It shouldn't be. And really it's not embarrassing. There's a shame that comes with all of this. Like the CPTSD more often than not will leave one living in a state of shame, right? Shame is not really an emotional state. It is a um, psychological um, outline, essentially. It's not just an emotion because a whole slew of emotions come along with shame, right? It's a way of being and thinking and feeling about yourself and never feeling like you're worthy of people's time, attention, love. Um, and the longer we go without acknowledging and addressing these things, well, the more layers of illusion, negative, illusory coping mechanisms will stack on each other. So you get to, your 30s, and then you finally slowly start unwinding these things about yourself and realizing that, okay, I am, some things have broken me, but I'm not a broken person. A lot of us are just very misled and misguided and have had piss poor examples of how to treat people. Um, again, what is right and what is wrong. And it's extremely troubling to come to this realization at this point in your life and start to uncovering all of these decades worth of layers of false self that have compounded, again, because you didn't even know. And even if you did know earlier on, likely wouldn't have cared enough about ourselves to address these things, right? And I'm super grateful that I've gotten to this point to where I care enough about myself and I have a sense of self-worth finally and self-love and value that I give enough of a crap to be open to going down these avenues of like, okay, maybe being open to this, it will help me make more progress than continuously going to bury myself in substance abuse or, again, other people, addictions, sex addiction, drug addiction, whatever it is, anything to distract ourselves from the real problem, right? And the way this world and culture and society is designed, if you got to take care of yourself and work and you don't have people to fall back onto, well, trying to even getting to a point of wanting to investigate things like this could be very difficult because our culture is not about teaching people these things, right? They'd rather keep us customers than teach us how to heal ourselves and make a better life for ourselves. And in doing that, hopefully you can get to a point of wanting to share this with other people and maybe make them aware that this could be going on with them too. Like, again, I'm not saying or talking about any of this stuff to be like, oh, woe is me. Here's my diagnoses. Now give me my medication, because there's nothing I can do to try and rectify this myself. I don't think like that. I'm not saying you can necessarily heal fully from these things, um, but to get a diagnosis thrown on you, multiple diagnoses thrown on you, and then just told, oh, you gotta take these pills for the rest of your life because we don't want to bother putting in the real work and getting to the root of the problem. We'd just rather give you these pills because we're getting bonuses too, keeping you doped up. It's crazy. Um, there is hope. That's what all of this is about. There is hope. And I say this from the standpoint of feeling utterly hopeless most of my life. I used to bury these things, but I also used for the longest time dope, heroin, Fetty Wap, because I didn't want to be alive. But I have too much respect for the gift of life to take my own life. I went through a whole, ideation period of that for a couple years. So that's a whole nother video. Um, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to fall victim to this system anymore, right? It is so much more rewarding and gratifying, and what do they say? Success is the best revenge, right? Not that this is revenge, but to the systems that beat us down and tell us we're the problem and leave other people completely uneducated and ignorant to the facts of what's actually happening with a lot of us. I'm here to tell you that there is hope and there is a way beyond this. I'm not going to say out of it, but don't feel like you're broken. I love you.